All right, so here it's a quick training on how you can set up a custom domain to your StockRush portal. Right here, you can see on screen, you see this domain is bannergeeks.com. That's exactly what you have on your StockRush account. And if you notice here clearly, you could see we have our SSL up here. So how can you go about achieving a custom domain pointed to your StockRush account? At the back end, here's my StockRush account. On StockRush, if you come over to storage, right on storage, if you go over to domain mapping, you go to see this my dedicated link, which is my sub site right inside of StockRush, and here is the custom domain banner gigs. So I've been able to map this to have a domain, custom domain pointed to it, and having my logo, everything up and running with an XSL on it. So how did I achieve this? First, I purchased the domain from Namecheap, which I'm also going to be logging in to show you how I did this. You can also purchase any domain from any provider. It could be GoDaddy or whatever provider you are comfortable with. So right here I have BannerGeeks, which I did purchase, and I was able to achieve this along with CloudFlare. So if you don't have an account with CloudFlare, you can just click on sign up and select the free account, which is zero billing, and you can have an account. So once you select sign up, it's going to take you to the process of signing up. But I already have a login account, so it's going to launch me into my account, and I'm going to show you what I did exactly inside there that allows the domain to have this custom wrap on it. So let this come up. Right on here, you can see I have several accounts pointed here. The exact account I used is called Banner Geeks, and right inside of Banner Geeks here, if you come over to the DNS, you will see what I did here. I added two records, which are the A record. The A record is pointed to IP 150.230.237.104, and I added a CNAME record with www pointing to this URL. So how can you go about achieving SAME from your own end? So let's say you purchase a new domain, and yes, it's let's say here we have qubit.live. That's what you're looking at using. When you add sites, it's going to crawl the site and try to fetch the entire domain zone records. So here you see the plan, which you have to select get started. So zero free plan. So if you're starting, you're creating new, this is what you select, get started. So this point here, you see that it fetches all the domain right here. You are expected to delete all of this record. If you had a domain that is already pointed elsewhere, or you've been using it on a different host elsewhere, so it's going to fetch all of this record. Try to delete all of these records you have here. When you are done, you hit on continue. Great. So once you hit on continue, it's going to provide you this detail. It's showing you what domain name server you're already using, and it's giving you a new domain server to use, which is anahari.ns.cloudflare.com, michels.ns.cloudflare.com, which is a new domain or name server you'll be using. These are the exact name servers I use on this domain, which is bannergeeks.com, which is what we have here, bannergeeks.com. So I came over here, selected custom domain, and on the custom domain, I provided the NS first one as well as the second one, and I hit on save. You'll see a custom save here. If you were to add something different, you'll see it at the top here. You hit on save. So I had it like that. So you can see it here. You hit on save, and it's going to save that. So like I mentioned, you can purchase domain from anywhere. All you need to do repoint the name server to Cloudflare name server, so that Cloudflare now has it as their domain that they are ready to manage. So when we get that done, you can then hit on get started. When you hit on get started, always select automatic HTTPS rewrite. Always get this enabled. Hit on save. Again, when you come over to always use HTTPS, ensure this is enabled. Hit on save. Now you proceed again. You can leave this the way it is, hit and save. You can leave it the way it is and hit and save. Next, you hit and finish. So far, you've successfully linked up your account, and once you're done linking up the account, it's going to propagate. You give it some time to propagate, and once you propagate, the next thing you need to do is come over to the DNS. So for this case, I would want to switch over to the live site, which I did. So I will be going back to my site here and select the one which I did, which is active. And I come over to DNS. Now my DNS, like I mentioned, I added a record. I deleted everything and added a record. So to add a new record, you always come here and hit an add record. You can select what type of record you need, A or C name. So I did a record, and at this point I just added star, and a star, which is the @ sign, it points out to your root domain, and the IP address I used is 150.230.237.104. Now on your StockRush account, you don't have that IP. So what you can do, but the IP remains the same, so you can just copy this IP you have here and do it. But this process I'm showing you, this hack process, is exactly what you can use for any other software you may have purchased in trying to point it to your custom domain and allow it to have HTTPS on it. So what I did differently, since the IP is not there, and if you want to do same to other URLs, you may not know what the IP is. All you need to do, come over, copy this URL. Here's the URL. Copy this URL since we don't have it shown here. Copy this URL. Then come over to your command prompt terminal. If you're using a Mac machine, you can go to your terminal and you are going to see that. So I'm coming over to my prompt command terminal. So my prompt command terminal, I want to do what we call ping. I'm typing the command ping, and I'm pasting Ctrl V, pasting the URL, and I'm timing it out here to see the time to live. And once you do that, it resolves the address for you to an IP address. So the address here, the IP address which is holding or hosting this domain on the server is 150.230.237.104, which is why I used that in my a record here. So you have 150.230.237.104. So you use same for StockRush users, but if you're using the same method I'm using for other products you may have heard, you can do well to use the terminal or window to try to resolve your IP or know what IP is hosting your domain. Again, what I did next was to add another record, and this time I added what we call the CNAME record. So on the CNAME record, I did the same thing. I just came over to add record. Instead of a record, I selected CNAME, and on my name, I just typed www, and on the target URL, all you need to do, come over to your domain mapping and copy the exact URL you have here, and ensure that you have saved here your domain which you will be using. So you just copy this URL and add it to your target URL. So what this will do, if you save it, it's going to show that we already have it saved. In all of this, always allow your proxy status to show proxy, and once you hit on save, this is not going to go. It's going to flag that we have this already existing. So that's it. So you can take that out. So once you have this all done, you can then open incognito to call up your newly assigned domain, but you need to give it some reasonable time, some minutes to propagate. And when you have that done, you are going to have your new custom domain loading exactly like what you have here, and it's going to load it up exactly onto your secured socket layer, which is a HTTPS, as you can see on the domain. So it's not going to be flagging some red harmful notifications to your users. So you have a well secured site which you can promote, build your leads, and of course sell on your StockRush. Please, I want to know what you think about this video, and if you have any question, any concern, any assistance you need, let me know. I'll be waiting on the comment section to attend to the questions and reply you. And of course, we'll be looking at setting up a live webinar where we'll have interactive sections following up on this. All right, so for the time, do have a nice time.